Welcome, everybody, to this toast of random acts of flowers. My name is John Becker, and we're going to have a great hour ahead of you tonight talking about the past of this charity, what's happening right now, and also its future. It's hard to believe it's been 12 years since this homegrown charity in Knoxville formed. 12 years ago, when Larsen Jay, the founder, was hurt in a near fatal accident, fell off a roof onto some cement, and it was not pretty. It required a lot of recovery in the hospital, and the generosity of so many of you who are tuning in tonight helped him make it through his recovery process. And in that time, so many of you know that Larsen was touched, and he wanted to spread that joy to other people who didn't have the kind of support system that he had while he was recovering in the hospital. And there was born this idea of giving people a lift when they need it most, when they're in a hospital recovering from some kind of trauma or sickness. And so that's what we're here to do tonight, is to talk a little bit about the formation of this charity and how it's grown throughout the years. Really, we always use it, it's a bit of a cliche, but blossomed since its founding. So right now I'd like to bring in the man of the hour, Larsen Jay, who we are toasting tonight as he bids adieu to random acts of flowers, not in spirit, but just in body, if you will. Larsen, great to see you. Let's talk first, Larsen, about this idea and how it came to pass, because some people who are tuning in know the story, others don't.
Well, thank you, John, for hosting tonight, and really thank you to everybody who supported and are tuning in. Random Acts of Flowers has really had the same mission from day one to today, and it all started with, as you said, my recovery after a near fatal accident and being in the hospital and kind of putting my life back together in that really first crucial week, and getting the outpouring of support from people locally, nationally, all over the world, really. And that came in the way of flowers. And I had never been given flowers before. And it really changed the room, it changed the atmosphere, and it really lifted me up and, reminded me of how many people cared about me. And then when I saw how many people in the hospital had no flowers, no visitors, just no support like I did, it just seemed really obvious. And we loaded up my wheelchair and we started making deliveries. And that was really the catalyst for here we are, 12 years later, celebrating over 500,000 deliveries to people in healthcare facilities nationwide. And that spirit of that magical moment between the volunteers that make the deliveries and the recipients who really have that boost of emotional energy. So I'm super thrilled and I'm just proud of everybody and all their hard work for the last over a decade now.
Larsen, you talk about that magical moment. And before we get to what our sponsors are doing for you tonight, I want to touch on that just briefly, because I want to know what stood out to you as a moment when this charity was evolving, where you said, you know what, I think this can be bigger than it is right now, that this is going to be a success. Was there a magic moment when you were on a delivery and you thought, we've got something here?
Yeah, I mean, I've had so many moments where they've just been aha moments, but I think it's when I realized that the giving of flowers is one of the most universal gestures that cuts across all races, religions, languages, disabilities, income levels. I mean, it is a universal gesture that gets to the core of somebody, and it's that personal communication, that personal kindness, where you're just saying, I don't want anything from you. I just want you to have a better day. I just want to see that smile. I hope you feel better. And understanding that I have delivered to young people and old people, to rich people and poor people, to people with disabilities that couldn't even see the flowers or were blind. And just, everyone has the same reaction, which is just so amazing. And that is that kindness that a stranger would do something for you for no other reason than they just care. And I think that's what, every time I had that interaction, I said, this is something that doesn't matter where you are, it will translate. And now we're really spreading that whole mission and that moment all across the country and even around the world in some cases.
Well, we're going to talk more about the evolution and the recycling end of this charity as well. And I want to direct people to that number at the bottom of the screen, 865-448-4181. Any little bit helps perpetuate this charity, and we're going to be talking a lot about how you can help throughout the evening. And one of the people we owe a lot to is PYA, which is the title sponsor of this virtual event and this toast to Larsen. And for more on that, we're going to turn to Marty Brown.
Hello, my name is Marty Brown, and I'm President and CEO of PYA. And we're delighted to be able to say a few words and to toast Larsen Jay and the wonderful mission of Random Acts of Flowers. A few years ago, I was on the phone with one of my partners in Washington, D.C., and she said she had to cut the conversation short because she and some friends were creating flower vases and taking them to a nursing home close by to deliver to the residents. And I said, "Oh, Random Acts of Flowers." And she goes, "Wow, what a great name." And I said, "No, that's a real name." I love the mission of Random Acts of Flowers. Larsen is at his best when he serves others. And that's also a long list, including his efforts with Knoxville's downtown ice rink, the chili cook-off, his historic preservation work, his services on boards, including the Knoxville Symphony and Bijou Theater, and his election and service on the County Commission. But what may be his most widely known endeavor, Random Acts of Flowers, touches lives across the country. One thread runs through all of these: giving back. At PYA, we share a book called The Go-Giver by Bob Berg. The premise of the book is that if you emphasize other people's needs above your own, you'll achieve more than you ever thought possible. Larsen, you epitomize that spirit, and there's nothing random about that. It takes hard work, vision, energy, humor, and commitment to impact the thousands of lives you have. And we're confident there's more to come. So cheers to you, my friend, and congratulations on the legacy you have created in Random Acts of Flowers.
Marty Brown for us tonight. Larsen, what do those words mean to you?
You know, I think it's a testament to the community's passion for Random Acts of Flowers and what they see in it. I may be the catalyst for tonight's event, but it's people like PYA and everybody else who's supported tonight that it means a lot that they care so much about the mission, and it really makes me feel good to know that it will go on for a long, long time, long after I'm, an afterthought. So I really appreciate everybody at PYA and everybody who sponsored tonight, and let's keep it going.
We're going to toast a few of those sponsors who have helped out this evening and continue to help out. We'll pause for a moment. You can watch their names, and we'll be back with you momentarily. Thanks so much to all of you who have been so generous with your donations. I want to talk just for a moment about the numbers, because during the past 12 years, Random Acts of Flowers has delivered more than 129,000 bouquets to individuals. 129,000. I mean, that's a good chunk of the Knoxville population. That's in local healthcare facilities. Random Acts of Flowers has recycled more than 157,000 vases. Fortunate enough to have so many volunteers that they have produced 73,000 plus volunteer service hours. And that was really the mission, Larsen, that you had from the beginning, was get people engaged, because once they experience one of those magic moments, they're gonna stay engaged. Explain what the volunteers have meant to this charity from your perspective.
Absolutely. The volunteer spirit is alive and well in everything we do at Random Acts of Flowers. And it's amazing. From day one, they have showed up tirelessly working on everything from the many different locations that we've held here in town, all the way to every bouquet that's walked out the door has gone through with so much passion. And I'm always impressed with how many people give their time in service of people they will likely never meet. And the numbers you just mentioned are right here in East Tennessee, but nationally we've done over 500,000 deliveries, and the volunteer hours are close to 250,000. And it's that the volunteer that shows up and says, I know I'm doing something for somebody who is in a really tough spot right now. And I'm inspired by them. Look, tonight is all about our volunteers, and they are the reason that Random Acts of Flowers exists. And they just really deserve the biggest applause.
For anybody who's been on a delivery, they know what it's like to be in that room and do just as you described. I had a nice little memorable moment on a delivery with some other volunteers at a hospital that I will not name, but I was in the room presenting some flowers. I told the patient that my name was John, and I said, this is from Random Acts of Flowers, and she said, you look familiar. And for those of you who don't know, my day job is as a television news anchor at the NBC affiliate here in Knoxville. And the woman I was with, my fellow volunteer, said, oh, he anchors the news on Channel 10. And the patient said, no, that's not it. And so I said, thank you, I appreciate you watching, or not watching, as the case may be. But that's just one of many fun moments that I've had on deliveries across the community. It's really such a privilege to go in and just make someone's day. And we're going to talk more about the mission, and to do that best, we're going to hear from some people who live it every day.
We give flowers to show our support when we know someone is lonely, afraid, or hurting.
Hello. So beautiful. Thank you so much, sir.
Intuitively, we know the presence of flowers just makes us feel better.
Flowers actually trigger positive emotion and enhance moods, and we've seen that time and time again with our patient population.
Each week, in communities everywhere, there are millions of flowers that have served their intended purpose, providing much-needed encouragement for those battling injury, illness, or the aging process. Our volunteers receive donated flowers and repurpose them into beautiful bouquets, recycling any green waste. The new bouquets are then delivered to unsuspecting recipients in hospitals, VAs, assisted living centers, and hospice facilities.
I volunteer for Random Acts of Flowers because when you're in a hospital or in a nursing home, you think no one's out there thinking about you, but it makes you aware that people are. How can you go wrong with some fresh flowers in your room?
At each of our partnering facilities, healthcare professionals work with Random Acts of Flowers volunteers to determine who is most in need of an emotional boost.
Come on!
It's a simple moment of kindness and compassion from their community, with an impact that can last forever.
So beautiful.
These are for you. Me. Cuties.
Random Acts of Flowers, recycling flowers, delivering hope and encouragement.
Larsen, before we get to a few more toasts, I'd like you to highlight a volunteer who's had the longest tenure at Random Acts of Flowers, and there are several.
There are several. Oh my gosh. We have probably a dozen that have been with us since the beginning. Debbie and Michael and Cindy, and there's so many. They have literally been there from day one when we were really trying to figure out how to pull all this together. And they still show up every week, and I'm inspired by them. They don't let me touch the flowers, which is a really good thing because that is not my strength. But I'm amazed that they have been there from the beginning, and they still have the same passion, which is a testament really to the mission and to that volunteer spirit. I wish I could give them all a big virtual hug right now.
I know. They are truly the engines of hope in this endeavor. And we're going to hear a few toasts to you right now. We're going to do this throughout the evening, but let's take our first few toasts at this moment.
Hi, Larsen. The team at Samuel Franklin sends you best wishes, and we look forward to supporting Random Acts of Flowers in the future.
Hey, Larsen. Great idea this Random Acts of Flowers turned out to be, and thank you so much for all the work you did to get it off the ground and make that idea a reality, and then inviting all of us to come and participate. It's been a great time, and we can't wait to see what you're going to do next. And if you ever find yourself in need of giant paper flowers, don't hesitate to call.
Larsen, we want to thank you for taking us along on this adventure for the past 10 years. Who knew that little idea in the hospital would result in 500,000 delivery this year? We truly believe in the healing power of flowers, and we salute you.
Cheers, Larsen.
Hi, I'm Randy Boyd. I'd like to say thank you to my friend Larsen Jay for creating this amazing organization, Random Act of Flowers. It's done so much for our community and so much for so many lives in our community. I can't begin to thank you enough for all that you've done. And I want to wish you the best of luck in your future. Thanks, Larsen.
How about that, Larsen? Huh? Are there a few tears in those eyes right now?
They're already. I'm going to be a mess by the time we get done with this. It's
That's
already.
Awesome.
And I want to say I was thinking more about your question. And, you know, the original volunteer in all this is my wife, Adrian, who is been there literally from day one and is always the first one to support me and to support the organization and to show up. And she deserves a lot of credit.
She definitely does. Ace is truly that. I also know that you have talked about how this charity has grown beyond Knoxville, certainly, and touched so many people, not just across the country, even across the world. And that includes a coach, a comedian, and an actor. Take it away.
Hello, Adrian and Larsen. This is Leah Morgan, and I just have to say congratulations on all your success with Random Acts of Flowers. Y'all have been able to spread so much joy and happiness to over 500,000 people. That's unbelievable. And your whole team, what a testament to what is good in this world and what we all should be doing. So I hope that people continue to support this wonderful charity. And I just got to say, good job. I'm so proud of y'all.
Hey, Larsen, congratulations on the great success that you've had with Random Acts of Flowers. What a great idea. And to see you touch 500,000 people with love, hope, and joy is amazing. You truly are part of the volunteer spirit. I've considered you a friend for a long, long time. You and Adrian and your family are wonderful people, amazing parents, and very community-minded. Enjoy your next stop as you pass the torch. Love you and good luck and hope to see you soon.
Larsen, Adrian, hey there. It's Walton. I think I just barely fit in this box. I'm at work right now, and it's too noisy to do this outside. But I wanted to say congratulations on all the success with Random Acts of Flowers. To think that you have brought so much hope and so much joy to over 500,000 people is it's extraordinary, really. It's a real testament to you and your entire team for everything that you have done and all the smiles that you have brought to all the faces over the time that you have been doing this. So from the bottom of my heart and everybody else that you have helped along the way, thank you.
Thank you indeed, Larsen. What does it mean to hear from those three people?
It means a lot. I mean, we have we certainly get the attention of so many people because of the mission, but to sort of have that group of celebrities, you know, join us and give us accolades is that much more testament to how much this means on on a real personal level, and I'm thrilled. I'm happy.
Well, for people who are watching and they want to know a little bit more about the specifics of donations, let's dive into that a little bit, because 85% of every dollar that you give to Random Acts of Flowers goes straight to the mission. It's a lean organization, but you know the numbers better than anyone. Talk about how far $100 might go if somebody's willing to give that in that flowers text to 865-448-4181.
Absolutely. We are very much a mean and lean organization. The entire Random Acts of Flowers team is 99% volunteer driven. We just have a few employees and of course some costs like, van and, facility. But we really focus all of our supporters' dollars right into the mission. And we can deliver something just like that's sitting in front of you that would, normally be something you would spend somewhere between $50 and $80 to deliver somebody in a healthcare facility. And we can do it for $10 a person. So really for every $10, we're going to serve somebody tomorrow. And what I love about Random Acts of Flowers is it's the mission in real time. You don't have to see, did it work 3 years, 6 years, 10 years from now? It's going to happen tomorrow. So every $10 you give today is going to turn into a smile tomorrow. And we are happening we're making deliveries all the time. And so your impact has an immediate effect on those who are most vulnerable. And it really is a big deal. It's an efficient, effective organization that really makes a big impact in a timely way.
You talk about this bouquet that's sitting next to me, and I want you to just touch on your first round of deliveries amounted to like a carnation apiece. Explain that to people who don't know that history, because it was really like, well, let's give this a shot.
Yeah, we had really no idea, how this would work, and we started off really small. I went back to the facility. I was at UT Medical Center, and I went back to them and said, I have an idea for this charity, and we want to give it a shot. And they welcomed us in, and we started with I think 20 little tiny bud vases with 1 or 2 flowers in them. I'm sure there's a picture in the history thing somewhere. And it was so little, but what I've learned over the last 12 years is it doesn't matter the size of the bouquet. It's that personal connection. You could walk in with a solo cup with 3 roses in it, and the fact that you walked in with anything and said, I care about you, the flowers are this great catalyst between 2 people. But we really do now produce, we get flowers from weddings and memorial services and grocery stores and wholesalers. And now, our bouquets are big and they're beautiful, and our volunteers make the use of every single stem that walks in the door, and then everything else gets composted. So they are amazing bouquets and really effective with the value of what you donate.
We'll definitely talk more about the recycling side of this, which was a great spin-off, really, of what originated here. Hey!
There's 2 volunteers, too. This is Alexander and Henry, and they have been going on deliveries really since they were, able to walk, and they have done pretty much every delivery in every place.
Great to see you, Alexander and Henry. Thanks for dropping in. We're going to learn a little bit more about the history of this charity right now. Stay with us. We'll be back momentarily.
Hi, Larsen. It's Sage, the very first employee of Random Acts of Flowers. One of the things that RAF taught me is that even on a rainy day, there can be beauty in this life. I am incredibly proud to watch this organization that we built together continue to offer people a little bit of beauty on their rainy days. From my heart to yours, I wish you all the best in your next chapter. Cheers from the beautiful Philippines.
In the summer of 2007, I had a near fatal accident, and I was overwhelmed with flowers and support. And when I saw people in the hospital that had no flowers, no visitors, it struck me as something that I could do to give back and to celebrate that I was still alive and that I could help somebody else. And so we just loaded up my wheelchair, we started making deliveries, and the idea for Random Acts of Flowers was born.
From the first organized delivery in 2008, Random Acts of Flowers has impacted hundreds of thousands of lives. The organization has made deliveries in cities across the country and delivered over 500,000 arrangements to those in need.
So beautiful.
This is a very simple way to make the world a better place. I mean, no one wants to be forgotten. It's important to keep everyone connected.
One of the things that's really exciting to me after so many years of making deliveries is the universal gesture of giving flowers. You have a point of impact that everybody smiles, everyone loves, and then you can really connect with somebody.
And it's not even my birthday. That's okay.
How fun is that to look back? What runs through your mind when you see that?
You know, it's fun to look back and to see that original delivery and some of the folks, the boys, scoot out of here. You know, it just makes me really proud that we have, you know, stayed true to our mission from day one till today, and it will continue that way, and that everybody still has such passion for it. It's interesting to walk down memory lane. It seems like yesterday, but at the same time, like, we have done so much in 12 years. Some of the stuff we started at that was a real challenge seems ordinary today, and so I'm just super proud of it. I mean, it's just like watching your kids grow up, you know?
One of the things that stood out to me as a former board member, Larsen, was hearing sometimes the letters that you received from family members whose father or mother might have received some flowers. Tell us a little bit about what that experience was like when you first started to receive those.
Yeah, I can actually tell you about the very first letter I ever received, and it was from a gentleman who is in Colorado. And he said, he wrote us a letter, and he said, I have not seen my mom in person for several years. I used to give her flowers all the time when I lived on the East Coast, and I've been on the West Coast or in Denver, and I haven't seen her for a number of years, and you all delivered her flowers, and she has not stopped talking about those flowers. You know, every time I talk to her, she talks about those, and she talks about, you know, the flowers that we used to have together in her garden and all this, and it was an awesome connection between somebody who was very remote. And I think about that a lot today with, you know, COVID and the isolation and kind of, you know, how separated we are right now. And it's, you know, it's a pretty simple thing that can kind of bring people back together.
That's the emotional side. I want to talk a little bit about the science side of this, because on the RAF website, for people who are watching this, they can go and see and read some of the scientific studies that have been done from various universities that talk about the positive impact and the true mental boost that flowers have, and what you've described as that personal connection. But also on the recycle side of this, there's a science to that. Explain for people who aren't familiar with the operation just what all goes into making sure that this is zero-sum a game or recycling as you can get.
Yeah, we try to be 100% green organization, and there is nothing that's wasted. So as we receive flowers that come in, literally the wire, the foam, the ribbons, the tape, everything that comes in that's part of that bouquet or that arrangement or the packaging gets recycled or reused. All the green waste is, we have a great partner with our Lawn Butler team, and they actually take all of our green waste and turn it back into yard mulch and shred it up, and that gets composted. And there is nothing that goes to waste. And the vases, I mean, nationwide, we've done over 225,000 vases that have been recycled, and they're all from people that are watching here tonight that have given us vases, and we continue to see those go through the program. And so we use everything, we try to reuse and recycle everything, and it really gets back to that point you said about the emotional health. And there are great studies that show that the giving of flowers has a huge emotional health, mental health boost, and really does aid in people's recovery. And that was the whole point. How do you give something to someone who can feel better emotionally and then ultimately use that to feel better physically?
Well, we're going to hear a few more toasts to Larsen Jay as we pause for a moment and some more voices come in to say hi and thanks.
Thank you so much to Larsen for everything that you've done with Random Act of Flowers, and then for the community as a whole. At Franklin and Colorado Law, we're huge fans, and you've made such a difference for our clients who are facing social isolation in healthcare settings.
Hi, Larsen. We're so very proud of you. Who would have thought when you made that delivery so long ago from your wheelchair that to date you would have made 500,000 deliveries with Random Acts of Flowers and changed millions of lives? We're so excited to see what's to come next, and we're very proud of you, aren't we, guys?
Yeah.
Congratulations. Love you.
Hello, Larsen. Congratulations. This has just been great fun all these years. Volunteering with your marvelous project, Random Acts of Flowers. Wishing you and Mrs. Jay all good wishes this coming chapter of your life. Thank you.
Hi, Larsen. This is Sharon Price with the Trust Company of Tennessee. Congratulations on birthing such a great baby, Random Acts of Flowers, and letting it learn to fly as well. Bye.
How about that?
Oh my gosh, it's wonderful. I mean, that's the community support and the outpouring support for Random Acts of Flowers is continues to impress me. So I'm touched by it.
Well, we are about halfway through this tribute, and I just want to encourage people who are watching. We thank so many of you who have given to make this possible and to continue the work of this organization. But if you can, we'd love you to text the word flowers to 865-448-4181. It's easy to do, and you can make a quick donation that way as well and continue to toast Larsen. As we move into the latter half hour, LJ, I want to talk a little bit about the future of this organization, because it's not over by any stretch. You, as Sharon Price said, helped birth this. It's flying. We're going to keep it flying. And one of the people who is dropping in and ensuring that happens is Mick Reed. I'm going to let you talk about him in a second, but first let's hear from him.
Thank you, Larsen, for all you have done to take Random Acts of Flowers to where it is today, having delivered over 128,000 bouquets and smiles to those in local healthcare facilities that need a moment of kindness and compassion. We are honored and humbled to work with our board of directors and our hundreds of volunteers to keep your dream alive and thriving, knowing that you will always be our biggest supporter and cheerleader.
And thank you, Larsen, for having this great idea for this compassionate mission. I am so honored to be a part of this special team.
And thank you so much, Larsen, for sharing your knowledge and always being available for guidance. We appreciate you.
Cheers!
I don't even have any. I got cheers here with my water. So.
Well, as you should be. Let's talk a little bit about Mick and his influence, because people should know about what he's already done for Random Acts of Flowers.
Absolutely. Mick Reed has been a wonderful executive director. He started as the executive director of the Knoxville branch, and as we grew nationally, those other branches have sort of spun off into their own independent entities, and Mick has really taken the helm, and I've passed the torch to him and our great team with Debbie and Elizabeth and our entire board of directors. We have a really awesome team, and backed up by all of our volunteers. They are going to sort of chart a new course for Random Acts of Flowers. It's thriving, it's doing well, it needs support, but it has a great future ahead of it, and I have full confidence that they will take it to the next level and continue to spread the mission in other places.
You have also seen it spread to other places, Larsen. What has been the key to its success? If there are people around the country watching right now and thinking, boy, that could work well in my community, or I'd love to see that in my community, what are the things that you think will make it a success?
Well, what makes it a success really nationwide and even worldwide, because we've had established branches in other states. I mentored groups in other countries, and we've talked to people around the globe. And the key is there's an endless supply of flowers being thrown away every single day. There are an endless supply of volunteers who want to help people in their community. And there are an endless supply of people in healthcare facilities who are really lonely and isolated and in need of an emotional support. And so all the ingredients are there. It just requires some passionate people to get together and say, we can do this. We can bring the flowers, the volunteers, and the patients together and put a little organization around it and make it happen. And so we're hoping to launch in the new year an opportunity for people to start their own Random Acts of Flowers all over the country, and do that in a dynamic way where we can really sort of open it up and say, here's the formula, and here's how you pull it all together, and go make your community great, and go help a whole lot of people smile and improve their emotional health. So It has endless possibilities because those ingredients exist everywhere in the world.
And you and I focused in the first part of this on that intimate connection between the people who deliver the flowers and the patients who receive them. But really, this is something that, as you mentioned in the letter you received from the gentleman in Colorado about his mother, I mean, this has such a ripple effect. And I want to talk more about that. First, let's listen.
The impact made by random acts of flowers is much greater than the smile on a recipient's face. Everyone involved feels a benefit. Flowers that were used to celebrate life and love are donated, giving the donor family a continued purpose beyond their event. The volunteer who picks up the donated flowers is grateful for the generosity and excited for the joy they will create. As a volunteer arranger builds bouquets, they experience the therapy of working with flowers and creating something to give away. Next, the delivery volunteer gets to see the joy and surprise on the recipient's face. The recipient not only receives beautiful flowers, but encouragement and a personal moment of kindness. And the flowers are enjoyed by everyone who sees them, such as family and healthcare workers. Lastly, each bouquet includes a card recognizing the donor who enjoys supporting Random Acts of Flowers, a cause of kindness that strengthens their community.
Larsen, let's talk more about this ripple effect because you've seen it happen. Explain some of the ways you've seen it not just go from one person, but to more than that.
Absolutely. I mean, the 500,000 deliveries is really more like 5 million impacts because we know for every bouquet we deliver, there's really a ripple effect of about 10 times. Somebody, this is about getting that emotional boost, and it happens all the way. Somebody who donates their flowers, say from their wedding, they are celebrating what they are, coming together for, but then they're also getting something out of it, knowing they're donating that to someone else. Then the person who picks them up and brings them to us, they get something out of it, knowing that they're helping another member of the community. The people who break down and the volunteers who prep the flowers are getting an emotional boost. The arrangers, the people who are making the actual deliveries in the healthcare facilities, the doctors, the nurses, the friends, people that they send letters to, people that they talk to on social media. All along the way, there's a touch point, and I think it's about emotional health and that boost, knowing that you've done something to bring kindness to the world. And that one bouquet has a huge ripple effect. And everybody gets a little something out of it, and even us talking about it long after the delivery's made.
It's a unifier, certainly, and I want to talk about that in the current time in which we are living, because people are hunting and searching for something like this that helps other people and also gives them something to feel good about. Explain the impact that COVID-19 has had on the organization and the way it does what it does.
Yeah, it's a huge impact. Early on in March, we started to hear from the hospitals and senior care facilities that they were starting to restrict access and sort of shut things down. And then, of course, in the months of April, really, it kind of all came to a stop. What was amazing is as things started to open back up a little bit and reemerge, and we were past the first few months of the pandemic, the first people to call were the volunteers, and they said, how can we come back and help? Because we know those people are even more lonely, even more isolated. And then the floral donors said, we still have flowers to give. We know you can do something good with them. And they started calling. And then we started to sort of bring everybody back together in a safe way. And then as we started talking to our healthcare partners, we knew we couldn't go in and make the one-on-one direct deliveries like we used to, but we accommodated. We pivoted our mission and said, okay, let's figure out a different way to do this. And we sanitized everything, and we were extra careful. And then we started doing deliveries where we would drop stuff on the doorstep, and the nurse would come out and take them in and make the deliveries. And we found ways to adapt to this kind of ever-changing world. But at the end of the day, we still figured out a way to get that bouquet in the hands of that recipient, whether it be a hospital, nursing home, senior care facility, hospice. And we've been able to ramp back up and sort of be back at full throttle. And we know our mission is more important than ever, and our volunteers know it. And they come in and they go, you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to make 10 more than I made today because I can help that many more people. So it's more important than ever. It's more important to keep this type of thing alive and flourishing. because it means so much to those who cannot connect with the outside world and are really in a vulnerable spot.
We want you to text flowers to 865-448-4181. That will help perpetuate this mission, even in the era of COVID-19, as Larsen just explained. And Larsen, we're going to get to some more toasts in just a second, but for people who are watching who don't really understand the process, I just want to get a little bit more specific about that. So say there's an event in Knoxville at the convention center, and it's a wedding, and they donate the flowers. From the time you get them to the time they're actually handed out at a hospital or nursing center, what does that look like?
Yeah, the mission is really fast. We do our entire mission from start to finish in about 24 to 48 hours. So the flowers get donated to us, people contact us, we make arrangements, we go pick them up, whatever the case may be, and then we bring them into this central facility. We break everything down to its core elements. Like I said, we recycle, we compost everything we can't use, and then almost immediately they're put back into bouquets and they're right back out the door. So you can have a wedding on Saturday, and by Tuesday afternoon, 30 to 50 people can have a better day because of your generous donation of flowers. It's really fast. Our cooler fills up and then it goes down to empty, and then it fills up and it goes down to empty 2, 3, 4 times a week. And so the impact is really immediate. And then what's amazing is when we rebuild it, we put new water, new minerals, cuts on the flowers, and we rebuild it into a brand new bouquet. When that recipient gets it, it's like it's coming right out of the flower shop, and it has a long life. I mean, a week to 10 days from the minute they get it. So there's really no time between when you donate to when it ends up in the recipient's hands, and it has a long effect thereafter. But we're constantly flowers in, flowers out, and a lot of smiles.
This is a night to celebrate you and how far this has come. I just want to touch on with you as well some of the people who early on made this happen, not just the volunteers, but the companies that said, you know what, we're going to step up and help this because we see some possibility. I remember sitting in board meetings where we even talked about flower shops who might see this as competition actually contributing some time and materials and people to the mission.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone, the floral industry has really embraced us because we don't compete with them. We don't take orders for flowers. We don't, substitute for their regular customers. And they know how much time and energy they put into their work. And to see all of that sort of thrown in the dumpster after the event or after the wedding or the memorial is really kind of crushing to them. And so the floral industry was the first ones to say, yeah, we see the value in this. As long as we can work on the relationship and stay in each other's lanes, then we're going to support you. And they have across the board, and they have really come to task. And then really the early adopters of our original donors and the original companies who said, this is meaningful and purposeful. And all of everyone from our board to our companies locally and nationally that have invested and said, it's really an interesting thing because you're selling hope and you're asking people to invest in something that you can't see. And so it's not a traditional charity where you say, okay, do this and you're going to see a measured XYZ. We're talking to people about investing in the betterment of other people on an emotional level. And there are people that really get that and have really doubled down and said, this matters. This is more than just the tangible. It's the impact that is long lasting. And I will forever be, grateful to everyone who's ever, invested in us and believed in the mission.
You have had sleepless nights, no doubt, with this and trying to figure out what is the best path for it. You received your MBA from the University of Tennessee. You've worked with entrepreneurs throughout your life. And for somebody out there who's looking for inspiration about taking an idea like you had and making it into something like we see today, what do you tell them? What's your advice to people about that?
My advice is to just start. When I was going through my recovery and putting my life back together, I spent a long time in a wheelchair. I kept thinking about those first interactions we had with those recipients when I gave my flowers to the person next door. And I kept thinking about how powerful that was. I jotted down a half a dozen ideas and a half clever name, and really had no clue what we were doing. Sat down with Adrian and said, I have an idea, and here's how I want to help the community. And we just started. We really didn't know what we were doing, but we said, we'll figure it out. And we started. We started the organization. We wrote the first check. We got the first board together. We went to the hospital and did the first couple of deliveries. We didn't have a clue, but what we did is we failed fast. We innovated fast. If something didn't work, then great, we don't do that again. And we constantly used feedback from the volunteers, from the recipients, from the hospitals and nursing homes to say, how can we do this better? And so we never had a grand plan. And all of what we've been successful with, I'd say, is half, by design and half just dumb luck and trying it out. So don't sit around and think about it too long. Get in there and try it and be the organization that makes 10 decisions every day, knowing 3 are going to be completely wrong. And then tomorrow fix those 3 and do 10 more and 10 more and 10 more, and just go for it, because you can innovate faster on the fly than sitting around theorizing about what it might be. And you learn faster about what works and what doesn't. And really, Random Acts of Flowers has been a 12-year process of figuring out what works and what doesn't, and streamlining it into an effective, efficient organization that has a huge impact with a small amount of resources.
We're going to talk a little bit more about where Random Acts of Flowers is headed, but first, a few more toasts. You'll see me disappear and some others reappear.
Awesome.
Larsen, on behalf of Morning Point of Clinton, Knoxville, Lenore City, and Powell, we just want to thank you for your years of partnership and bringing constant smiles to our residents. Even through COVID, y'all still were able to do deliveries, and we thank you very much and wish you all the best.
Hello, Larsen. Your friend Gabe here. So happy to toast you and thank you for all you have done and continue to do in our community to bring love and hope and connection to those in need. Thank you, and we love you.
Hey Larsen, Linda Scotthorn here. I just want to thank you for everything that you've done with Random Acts of Flowers and tell you how proud I have been to be a volunteer and a board member, and look forward to many years of successful continuation. Here's to you, Larsen.
Hello, my name is Harsh Hashemian. I'm president of AMS in Knoxville. Larsen Jay and all of you at the Random Acts of Flowers have done a great job bringing joy to many in our community, including my mom, who lives in the Sherrill Hill Retirement Home. She got an arrangement from Random Act and was so excited to get that. I want to thank all of you. Larsen Jay, you've been great. Congratulations on all that you have accomplished.
How about that? I'm just getting another text here from one of your buddies in Chicago, Tom Grace, watching tonight, sending his best as well. A guy who's taken a lot of my money at the gambling table and made fun of me on the ski slope, but he's sending his love and good wishes and toast to you as well, Larsen. What does it mean to have all these people from all these different sectors see this and see the light that Random Acts of Flowers brings?
It means so much to me. It means that that Random Acts of Flowers is going to be around for a long, long time, and it's, the organization is sort of evolved beyond my story, which is exactly what was my hope. I always hoped that it would, have a life of its own, and it would help more people long after I was, running it, and to see everybody who's given a toast and everybody who's invested in it, it means a lot. There's more of those stories, like really, even Tom Grace and Hosh and everybody that you've seen have toasts that have said, I still have people come up to me all the time and say, you gave flowers to my mom or my dad, and, it's awesome.
It is awesome. We want to remind you, just text flowers to 865-448-4181, and you can help continue the goodwill and the spirit that this charity started some 12 years ago. It's extraordinary where it's come. 500,000 deliveries across the country in that amount of time, and more to come. As Larsen said, you're well on the way to 1 million. I want to again thank our title sponsor, PYA, and let's listen once again to the group who has helped make this night possible for you, Larsen. Thanks to all the sponsors, PYA, the title sponsor tonight. Larsen, you have a connection with them. You'll be starting with them shortly. Just for folks who do not know, yes. Let them know what lies ahead in your future.
Well, yeah, I'm excited. Look, I'm excited to continue to serve the community in our local government as county commissioner. And professionally, I have a great opportunity with PIA starting next week as a new director of business alliances here in East Tennessee. And really, at the end of the day, I shouldn't be here with you. None of this should have happened. I should have not have lived through that accident 13 years ago, and certainly not be where we are today. But I'm thrilled and honored to have the opportunity to wake up every day saying, I'm not dead, I'm not in a wheelchair, and how do I be helpful? And really, that's what I'm focused on, is where can I be most helpful? And when I drive by Random Acts of Flowers every day, I'm so proud of everybody, and I'm just tickled to death that everybody cares so much about it.
Before we go, I want to touch on a couple more things, and that is something that a lot of the people watching right now may not know, and that is every year, right around the time of your accident, you make a special trip to one particular place in this community. Tell us about that and why you do it.
Yeah, my accident was on July 29th, 2007, and the first, after I had my accident, I was able to eventually get to my phone. The first people that were on the scene to help me out were the Knoxville Fire Department, and I go back to that same fire department every year, and I bring them lunch or something, and I just say thank you for all the first responders. So it's a special moment, and appreciate them very much.
Well, what I love about that story is not even the same people are working at that station now, but you do it out of the generosity that's in your heart, your soul, and what is everything about you, and that is to just pay it forward. They saved you. They got you back on your feet. Your hard work and your family helped you get back on your feet, and so do your friends. But you also want to spread a little joy. Just a moment you can do every year. It really says a lot about you.
Yeah, and it was really great because our very first delivery was that next year when we got Random Acts of Flowers started, and the very first delivery was back on the 10th floor at UT Medical Center, where I was a patient, and we went and I did the very first delivery at my room on the 10th floor. And this summer we did our 500,000th delivery, and although I was not able to go in, we were able to meet Ann Sprouse, who's the chaplain at UT Medical Center, and give her the special 500,000th bouquet, and she took it up and she took it to my room where it all started. So it really has come full circle.
It certainly has. Before we leave tonight, I also want to talk about ways that people can not only contribute to the organization financially, but also if they want to volunteer. What are some of the things that they could do to help perpetuate this mission?
Well, I think first and foremost, they can always make sure that Random Acts of Flowers is on good financial footing, because while our expenses are pretty minimal, they do exist, and without that, nothing else is able to happen. But really, people can get involved by showing up and calling our team and volunteering, donating vases, bringing corporate days of service where your whole team can come and do flower arrangements and go out and help make deliveries. There is no shortage of things that Random Acts of Flowers could use your help with, and take it for somebody who's 12 years later still doesn't know very much about flowers. There's always a job. I mean, sometimes I'm like, what can I do to help? And I'm taking out trash or sweeping floors. I mean, there's always something to do, and it all leads to helping that mission thrive every day. So don't be a stranger. We just say, come by and see us and say hi, and then, invest in what you value. And if you value Random Acts of Flowers and you value the impact it has on the community, then invest something in it, whether it be your time or your treasure, or tell somebody else about it so they can do the same.
Over the years, do you have a sense of how many people have volunteered for the organization at any given time?
We have here in East Tennessee somewhere between 150 and 200 active volunteers that run the program. But we counted a couple years ago all the volunteers with all of our branches nationwide and since inception, and it was well over 5,000 unique individual volunteers that had been part of the program, and they continue. It's interesting. Sometimes volunteers will come for a year or two, and then we won't see them for a year or two, and they'll come back. Some of you had volunteers who maybe worked at our facility in Florida and then moved up here, and now they're a volunteer up here. And so others have heard about us. We've had volunteers that literally, a friend of a friend had told them, if you're going to drive by Knoxville, stop by and help them out for the afternoon. And we've had people just show up and say, hey, I got a couple hours. So the volunteer spirit is what drives it. I promise you, they are the reason Random Acts of Flowers is successful. I really feel like I'm the window dressing sometimes that gets to be the person who talks about it, but the volunteers deserve all the credit, and they are the ones who, they inspire me every day.
Well said. I want to just, before we leave, talk about some of the connections that you've seen again, because those are so meaningful. I feel like I remember people on the board saying at one time or another, little did they know, but their loved one was in the hospital, and who shows up? Somebody with Random Acts of Flowers. They didn't expect it. It just happened. And even somebody on the board who's investing time in working on the mission just was I guess, reminded of just what it means when this random act of kindness shows up in your hospital room.
Yeah, what's amazing is we have always followed the sort of mission and the purpose of, we want the healthcare providers to be the people who identify the recipients. So we don't know, for HIPAA reasons and other things, and also we don't take personal requests and we don't compete with florists. But what we do is we let the healthcare, the doctors, the nurses, the caregivers, we let them decide. And so it's not based upon, income level or race or religion or language or anything else. What they're doing is saying, this person needs that emotional boost. And it's amazing. We get a list of room numbers and it's a box of chocolates. And I don't know who I'm going to meet when we knock on that door, but we know that somebody has said this person needs that emotional boost. And so really it's amazing. I've walked in on rooms where I know the person and I didn't have a clue who they were. I just, it's the next room over. And some people that you would think are the ones who are surrounded by the most people are the most lonely and really needed that pick me up at a really, special time. And we've had volunteers who have come who've said, you gave flowers to my family member and now I'm inspired. We've had people who've donated their flowers after a loved one has passed away and then have come back and said, I saw what you did to help somebody else. How can I volunteer? So everybody comes back to the same thing. How can I help somebody else? And that's awesome. That's the coolest part about this.
It is the coolest part about this. And my brother, I really appreciate all you've done for so many people, thousands of people, to just make them feel that moment of grace and gratitude. It is an extraordinary thing, and I appreciate you allowing me to be a part of that. This charity, to me, really sums up this line of thinking. We talk about how many bouquets have been out and the 70,000 hours of volunteer hours and the 500,000 deliveries. And what people at the end of their lives really want to know is, well, how did you make me feel? And you have made so many people feel special. And for that, we thank you and we toast to you, Larsen Jay, and we appreciate you watching tonight.
Thank you very much. And thank you to everybody who's invested in Random Acts of Flowers and honored me tonight. And I look forward to making the millionth delivery someday, and I know that you'll help me do it. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart.
Here's to you, LJ.